Well, perhaps you have heard terms like debt consolidation or debt settlement, and maybe aren't sure what that exactly means, or perhaps more importantly, how it can affect you and which business you should go with to maybe get these services and to learn more. Well, lucky for us, we have got a friend in Alan Borden who is with the Debt Relief Legal Group. And we're so excited every time you join us because I feel like we learn about this whole process that I think people don't necessarily understand until they find themselves there. And sometimes it might be too late. Alan, good morning. How are you?
Good morning, Natalie. I'm doing well. How about yourself?
I'm well. You know, I love that we're doing these segments on our show to help people. And you do hear these terms, debt consolidation, debt settlement. Let's first break this down and maybe go over some myths and some facts when it deals with these concepts.
Sure. So for debt settlement, that's when typically you're taking the debt, negotiating down the principal, and then paying it off in one lump sum payment. So you save a lot on the principal and you don't have to pay interest. Debt consolidation is more about getting the outstanding debts you have, negotiating a lower interest rate, and then making monthly payments to basically a company who then pays everybody every single month until you pay it off, usually a plan of about 5 years.
You know, both of those things, just the way you were describing them, sound great and sound very beneficial and no brainers. But I know there also can be some negative things or maybe some misconceptions out there that you want to make people aware of before they take steps down these paths.
Yeah, so the biggest mix-up is those two terms, because they're you can interpret them different ways.
Yeah.
One of the biggest places where people fall is debt settlement. So remember, debt settlement is when you come up with a lump sum, pay it off, and lower the principal. What some companies have been doing is instead of doing that, they say, well, hey, look, let's say you owe $10,000. So we can negotiate that at about 5 and pay it off at 5. But then they will put you on a payment plan for a few years, paying them, $200 a month, $300 a month. And what they do is basically act like a bank and save that money until they have enough to go approach the creditor and settle that debt. It sounds good in theory, but the problem is for that year or 2 years that you're just sending money and storing in a bank, that creditor's not getting paid and doesn't know what's going on.
Oh.
So then a lot of times what happens is they start suing you or transfer it to somebody else, and the attorney's fees and the costs and the interest that start ballooning. Instead of $10,000, now you owe $15,000, and that $5,000 that you're not even close to accumulating isn't enough to settle. So when you want to settle, you want to make sure that the company you're dealing with is actually asking you for a lump sum. And I know that's asking for a lot, especially in these times, but that's really the best way to do it. Paying it over time just won't get you there.
And like you said, you think you're doing what's right. You think you're making these payments for long periods of time, and then you find out that you haven't even been touching that debt.
Right, exactly. And since the company you're dealing with isn't a law firm, it's 99% of the time, it's just a regular for-profit company, they don't represent you in the lawsuit. And they don't have anyone to represent you in the lawsuit because these are usually national companies and they don't have lawyers in all the different states to protect all their different clients. So basically, I've heard so many clients who come to me, been on these programs for years, and then get sued. And then they come to me and they're like, well, once I got sued, I called my consolidation company or my debt settlement company, and they're like, well, we can't do anything because we're not lawyers.
Oh.
Yeah, and it's the worst for people. So, yeah, you want to make sure if you're going to settle a debt, have that lump sum ready or have it where you can get it within a short amount of time.
But I think most importantly, having a legal group being behind you is the key. And I know you've got that free consultation too that you're able to share information with. It's just got to help people. And that seems like it's key when beginning this process.
Right. So that's the biggest selling point. Most of the people who are in my line of business, who are consumer protection attorneys, will give you free consultations. So we'll walk you through debt settlement, debt consolidation, bankruptcy, all the different options that you have. And then by our legal profession, by the code and ethics that we have to follow, and legally we have to do what's best for you. So we will give you the advice that's best for you. Those companies out there that do debt consolidation or debt settlement, they don't have that obligation. They are just in there to make money. So they'll advise you what's best for them.
There you go. Kick it off with that free consultation. Have a lawyer on your side. Debt Relief Legal Group. There's the contact info. Alan, always we appreciate you.
Yeah, thank you for having me.